Imagine this. What if, millions of years before the first human ever walked the earth, another intelligent civilization had already risen, built cities, developed technology, and then completely disappeared? Not Atlantis, not aliens, a civilization born on Earth itself. It sounds impossible, but in 2018, two scientists asked a question so unusual that forced the scientific world to stop and think. If an industrial civilization existed millions of years ago, would we still be able to find its traces today? Or would time erase every road, every building, every machine, until it was as if they had never existed at all? This idea became known as the Silurian hypothesis. Despite its name, it isn't evidence that such a civilization existed. It is a scientific thought experiment, a fascinating question, designed to test what evidence an advanced civilization would leave behind after millions of years. And the answers may tell us something unexpected, not about the past, but about our own future. Because if humanity disappears tomorrow, would anyone 100 million years from now ever know we were here? The story doesn't begin with an ancient city or a mysterious artifact. It begins with a question. In 2018, two scientists published an unusual scientific paper. One was Dr. Gavin Schmidt, a climate scientist. The other, Dr. Adam Frank, an astrophysicist who studies planets and the possibility of life beyond Earth. They weren't searching for Atlantis. They weren't trying to prove ancient civilizations existed. Instead, they asked something surprisingly simple. If an industrial civilization existed millions of years before humans, would we still be able to detect it today? At first, the question sounded like science fiction, but it wasn't. It was a serious scientific experiment, because Earth is incredibly old. Our planet formed about 4.5 billion years ago. Modern humans have existed for only around 300,000 years. Industrial civilization for barely 2 centuries. Compared to Earth's history, human civilization occupies only the tiniest fraction of time. Imagine compressing Earth's entire history into a single calendar year. Modern humans would appear only in the final minutes of December 31st. Everything we have ever built, every city, every road, every skyscraper, every computer, every factory, would exist for only a brief instant. Then ask yourself, what would remain 100 million years from now? Would concrete survive? Steel? Glass? Plastic? Or would Earth's endless cycles, wind, rain, earthquakes, volcanoes, and shifting continents erase almost every trace we left behind? That question became known as the Silurian hypothesis. The name often confuses people. It has nothing to do with proving an ancient civilization lived during the Silurian period. Instead, the name comes from a famous science fiction series, Doctor Who. In the show, a fictional race called the Silurians lived on Earth long before humans. The scientists borrowed the name as a way of asking a much bigger question, not whether the Silurians were real, but whether any industrial civilization from the deep geological past could leave evidence that would survive until today. It wasn't a claim. It wasn't a theory that ancient humans existed. It was simple, a scientific experiment of the imagination. And surprisingly, the more scientists examined the idea, the more fascinating the answers became. Because the greatest mystery wasn't whether such a civilization existed. The real mystery was, would Earth even remember it? If an advanced civilization disappeared millions of years ago, what evidence would still exist today? The answer may surprise you. Imagine human civilization suddenly disappears tomorrow. No people, no machines, no electricity, only Earth continuing without us. At first, our cities would still stand. Cars would remain parked on empty roads. Skyscrapers would rise above silent streets. But not for long. Within days, power stations would fail. Lights across the planet would go dark. Within weeks, underground tunnels would begin to flood. Without constant maintenance, bridges would slowly weaken. Roads would begin to crack. Then nature would return. Trees would grow through concrete. Roots would split buildings apart. Rivers would change course. Forests would reclaim entire cities. Within a few thousand years, most of humanity's greatest structures would already be collapsing. Steel would rust. Glass would shatter. Concrete would slowly crumble. And after millions of years, almost nothing on the surface would remain. Earth itself is constantly recycling its own history. Mountains rise, then disappear. Oceans open, then close. Entire continents slowly drift across the planet. Volcanoes bury landscapes beneath layers of lava. Glaciers grind solid rock into dust. Wind, rain, heat, and time erase almost everything. That is why finding evidence from Earth's distant past is far more difficult than most people imagine. The fossil record itself is incredibly incomplete. Scientists estimate only a tiny fraction of all living creatures that ever existed were preserved as fossils. Entire ecosystems have vanished forever without leaving a single trace. Now imagine not searching for dinosaur bones, but searching for a city 100 million years old. Would roads survive? Probably not. Steel buildings? Long gone. Glass? Broken down by time. Even giant monuments would eventually disappear. So does that mean an ancient industrial civilization could leave nothing behind? Not exactly. Because while buildings disappear, chemistry can last much longer. And that is where the Silurian hypothesis becomes truly fascinating. Instead of asking what buildings would survive, scientists ask what fingerprints would industry leave inside the Earth itself. Because civilizations don't only build cities, they change the planet. And perhaps those changes last far longer than the cities themselves. If every building disappeared, what invisible evidence would still remain locked inside Earth's rocks? The answer could change how we search for ancient civilizations forever. If every city, every road, and every skyscraper eventually disappears, how could scientists ever know an industrial civilization existed? The answer may not be found in buildings. It may be hidden inside the Earth itself. Because civilizations don't just construct cities, they transform the planet. Every factory, every power plant, every vehicle changes Earth's chemistry in ways that can last far longer than the structures we build. Take carbon, for example. Since the Industrial Revolution, humans have burned enormous amounts of coal, oil, and natural gas. These fossil fuels contain a unique chemical signature. As billions of tons of carbon enter the atmosphere, they quietly change the chemical balance of our planet. Millions of years from now, even if every city vanished, those chemical changes could remain locked inside layers of ancient rock. Then there is plastic. Today, plastic reaches nearly every corner of Earth. It has been found at the bottom of the deepest oceans, frozen inside Arctic ice, and even inside the human body. Most plastic will eventually break apart, but it doesn't simply disappear. It becomes smaller and smaller until it exists as microscopic particles. Scientists call them microplastics. Over enough time, some of those particles may become trapped inside future rock layers, creating a permanent geological marker of an industrial civilization. There is another clue, one far more unusual: radioactive elements. Since the first nuclear explosions, tiny radioactive particles have spread across our planet. Many of them leave distinct chemical signatures. Future geologists, millions of years from now, could discover those signals, even if they never found a single human skeleton. Scientists also study sudden changes in climate, mass extinctions, ocean chemistry, and unusual concentrations of metals buried deep beneath the ground. These are known as technosignatures, not buildings, not statues, but chemical fingerprints left behind by technology itself. This is the true heart of the Silurian hypothesis. It isn't asking whether ancient cities still exist. It's asking if an industrial civilization vanished long ago, would science recognize its fingerprints? even after millions of years? So far, researchers have found no evidence that such a civilization existed before humans. But the question remains valuable, because it teaches scientists exactly what clues to search for, not only on Earth, but perhaps one day on other planets as well. If scientists know what to look for, why haven't they found evidence of an ancient industrial civilization? Is it because one never existed, or because Earth's history has erased almost every trace? If scientists know what an ancient industrial civilization might leave behind, why hasn't anyone found evidence of one? The answer begins with the Earth itself. Our planet is not a museum. It is a living, changing world. Every day, the Earth's surface is being reshaped. Rain slowly wears away mountains. Rivers carry rocks toward the sea. Wind removes layers of soil. Glaciers carve valleys through solid stone. And beneath our feet, the continents never stop moving. Over millions of years, entire landscapes disappear. Ancient oceans become mountains. Mountain ranges collapse into plains. The ground beneath modern cities will one day become something entirely different. This constant recycling makes Earth's geological record surprisingly incomplete. In fact, scientists estimate that much of Earth's ancient crust has already been destroyed or transformed through plate tectonics. That means if an industrial civilization had existed hundreds of millions of years ago, many of its oldest traces could have been buried, melted, or recycled deep inside the planet. There is another challenge. Time. The farther back scientists look, the fewer rocks remain untouched. Some periods of Earth's history are preserved in remarkable detail. Others exist only as scattered fragments. Imagine trying to solve a 1,000-piece puzzle, while 900 pieces are missing. That is often what geology is like. Even the fossil record is full of gaps. Entire species lived and disappeared, without leaving a single fossil behind. So, the absence of evidence doesn't always mean something never existed, but it also doesn't prove that it did. That distinction is one of the most important principles in science. The Silurian hypothesis does not claim that a forgotten civilization once ruled the Earth. Instead, it asks whether our methods of searching are good enough to detect one, if it had ever existed. So far, scientists have found no geological evidence of an industrial civilization before humans. No ancient factories, no artificial alloys, no global chemical signature that cannot be explained by natural processes. And that is exactly what science expects. Ideas are not accepted because they are fascinating. They are accepted only when the evidence supports them. The Silurian hypothesis remains valuable, not because it proves a lost civilization, but because it forces scientists to ask better questions. Questions about Earth, questions about geology, and questions about how civilizations leave their mark on a planet. Perhaps the greatest discovery isn't hidden in the past at all. Perhaps it lies in understanding how easily even an advanced civilization can disappear. If humanity vanished today, what would we survive? 100 million years from now, would another intelligent species ever know that we were here? For a moment, forget the distant past. Forget ancient civilizations. Forget the Silurian hypothesis. Instead, think about us. Imagine that humanity suddenly vanished. No warning, no survivors, only an empty planet, continuing its journey around the sun. At first, our cities would remain. Satellites would continue orbiting above the Earth. Cars would sit silently on abandoned roads. The lights would go out. The buildings would slowly fall. Nature would reclaim everything. Then, millions of years would pass. Mountains would rise. Oceans would shift. Continents would drift across the planet. Almost every monument we have ever built would disappear. Even our greatest cities would become dust. 100 million years later, another intelligent species might walk this planet. They would search beneath ancient rocks, study strange chemical layers, find microscopic traces of plastic, unexpected changes in carbon, tiny radioactive signatures. And they would ask the same question, was someone here before us? Perhaps they would never know our name. They would never find New York, London, Tokyo or Dubai, but they might discover that something had once changed planet. And that possibility are exactly why the Silurian hypothesis matters. It isn't trying to rewrite history. It isn't looking for Atlantis. And it isn't claiming a forgotten civilization ruled the Earth. It reminds us what a fragile civilization really is. For all our technology, all our knowledge, and all our achievements, the Earth will continue long after we are gone. The rocks beneath our feet are not only a record of the past. One day, they will become the record. Perhaps the greatest question isn't whether another civilization existed before humanity. Perhaps the greatest question is, what story will humanity leave behind? Millions of years from now, will we remember as builders, as destroyers, or simply as another thin layer hidden deep within Earth's history? The Silurian hypothesis don't give us the answer. It simply asks a question that may become more important with every passing year, because one day someone or something may dig beneath the Earth and wonder who we were